Hello, in this video, I'm going to show you how to rank higher and drive more traffic from Google using Noindex. Now, I'll also attach a case study along with this as well. So to start, what is Noindex and what purpose does it serve? The Noindex tag is essentially there to tell Google's crawlers or any search engine's crawlers not to index a particular page. Now, typically we might find this on e-commerce stores where there are many different types of variation of product, and we don't want pages to cannibalize one another. It might be that a site is overly bloated with thousands of URLs that aren't there for search engines. They're there for other means such as email campaigns or PPC landing pages and things like that. So in some instances, we may want to ensure Google doesn't index these pages and instead focuses on the pages that are actually important to the site from a search engine perspective. So an example of what this might look like, if you jump onto quite typically a mainstream e-commerce brand, if you inspect the element and then do a site search for Noindex, you might find that there's a Noindex tag. So on this page in particular, you can see that it's been generated by a query string, and all I did was go from homepage, clicked on the first option, which I think was stocking filler, and then added a small filter, and this is essentially no indexed by the site itself, by Argos. So the no index tag is there to essentially point Google and other search engines into the path of our more important pages. What I'm going to show is actually a small case study we ran with a client in which we no indexed about 30% of the site, and we actually increased traffic by 27%. And we also managed to increase, or we also managed to move the keyword from page 2 to page 1 as well. So how do we go about doing this? So firstly, what you need to do is run a content audit. So I won't go into this too much at the moment, but the sort of things you're looking for, essentially, you're looking to find pages that in the last 12 months haven't generated a single organic session, pages that aren't relevant to the business. If you're a marketing site and you're talking about things like fox hunting, for example, which this site, funny enough, does, or things like Botox and things like this. And finally, if there are pages that are quite thin, don't offer any real value, and there aren't opportunities to merge and create essentially like a power page in which could be optimized for search in some way. What you want to do is audit these pages, then choose a method of removing them. Now, there are other methods to go through instead of no index, and this could be things such as redirecting, merging. In this particular case, the client themselves don't want to remove the content because they do serve another purpose, but they don't drive any traffic. So what I've done is I've exported these URLs. I've also scraped the publish date, and then I've also listed the traffic by channel in the last 12 months. So actually, some of them have generated a fair bit of organic traffic, but essentially the content has no relevance to the business, funny enough. So over the years, Google has chosen not to rank these pages anymore, so they have a bit of legacy traffic there. But it also goes some way to sort of dilute the topical relevance of the site. So if this site is an accountancy site and we're talking about fox hunting, Google's going to be confused as to what we see ourselves as experts in. So what we've done is I've filtered the whole audit just by the URLs that we've decided to get rid of. Obviously, I've removed anything that's confidential. So all you'll be able to see is pretty much a tick box traffic, publish dates, things like that, and essentially like the notes. Now, what you can do is obviously go into each of these pages and add a no index tag manually. You can also create a spreadsheet and upload a small snippet of HTML into the header that tells Google to no index these. Now, it won't be uncommon that you don't feel comfortable going into the code of the site and adding a no index tag manually. So what you can do, find a plugin called bulk no index and no follow toolkit. It's by a company called Madfish. So if you put this into Google, I've also added a link to it in this document here, which you can have access to. But it is the first result, and it looks like this, so it should have 1,000 plus installs. And then what you need to do is actually add this to your CMS, basically. Now, once you've added this, you hit Tools, you'll find it sitting here right at the bottom. So it'll be called Bulk No Index No Follow. And then what you can do is actually manually go through and just toggle no index. So I'd leave the no follows, but just toggle the no index. So for example, here, I'll show you that we've no indexed a page called Christmas do and don'ts. Now, if I open this up, obviously I'll hide the actual URL and probably just the start of the page just for confidentiality. But what I'll do is I can go to inspect the element. What I can see is that the no index tag has been applied, so it pushes it straight in. Now, what you need to do is essentially go through every single URL that you've identified as low or no value and no index them. Now, I will stress that this is where you get best success is you do this at scale. So we'll typically go through a client site that hasn't really had much of a content steal strategy over the years. It's pretty much anyone can write anything. And we'll go through and kind of do this at scale. And where we get best success is, we don't do 1 or 2 pages, we'll do like 10-20% plus the pages. So this is a 1,000-page site, and we've gone through and done this with over 350 of those pages. So we know that there's going to be a dent made, and that is enough for Google to sort of take notice. So what we've seen, and it is relatively early out the other side, is that when I've run a week-on-week comparison since we started running this test, is that sessions are up 27%, which is really good. And the target keywords had a little bit of a jump as well. So it's jumped from page 2 to page 1, and it's actually middle of page 1 now. So we had found that this had been sticking a little bit, and actually we found that this is helped somewhat. So it can have a really good impact on the site, but as I said, I would only do this if you absolutely know what you're doing, because obviously if you know index pages that are traffic driving, it could have a detrimental effect to the site, to traffic. Of course, Google will now ignore these pages. Do consider if they can be merged into power pages with a bit of on-page optimization. Seen instances in the past where we've merged pages instead of just removing them, and actually Google's liked that collated content and end up ranking it. And of course, if you want to save on crawl budget, you may wish to redirect and remove the pages altogether. So there it is. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you.